Right, I think that's okay. So I was trying to do a setup so that I didn't have to like move around too much. So yeah, I just want to put a disclaimer out there. This video needs to be watched by someone who isn't going to go on the internet and buy medication that isn't licensed by a doctor. What I want to get across before I start talking and giving you guys my advice and my personal experience, what I want you guys to know is it's not safe to buy any medication online. I do not condone that at all. I do not suggest going online and buying anything that isn't prescribed by a professional doctor. This is for your own safety, and I want to make that super clear. You know, I want to talk about medication, and I want to be able to let you guys into my life and my medication journey, but I need you guys to be really responsible when it comes to medication, because it can be so dangerous. And unless it's licensed by a doctor, I don't condone anybody taking it. So what I want to do is just let you guys ask me questions, and I will just answer them as you ask them. So just before we get going, I'm on Adhd, which is obviously, sorry, there's a ring light here, so you might not be able to see it, but these are an amphetamine-based tablet. So it's called lisdexamfetamine. It's 70 milligrams. It took me a little while to get up to the 70 milligrams. So is the highest milligram mean that you have the worst case? No. So I actually thought that at the beginning. I thought the higher dose that you took, the kind of more worse your ADHD is. But actually, when I asked the doctor, she said that it's just everybody's intolerance. Basically, their body takes in all sorts of everyone's body's different. So, it doesn't mean mine's worse than yours or yours is worse than mine. It's just what works for you. Did you try? Nope. No, I didn't put any. No, I literally just gulp it down and that's it. I first started on a 20 and then 20 milligrams. Then over the course of 6 weeks, I think I went up to 50 milligrams. And I actually stayed on 50 for about a year, and I've only really in the past 6 months gone up to 70 milligrams. And that's because I personally felt that it wasn't working anymore, and the doctor said it might have been that my body's become very intolerant. So yeah, I went up, and it seemed to have really worked out in my favour that way. Do you still manage to sleep at night? I take 60. Oh yeah, obviously I have times and that where I don't sleep much at all, and that I personally put that down to just me in general, like my anxiety. So I'm also on a an antidepressant as well. So yeah, that helps me a lot as well. But what I really just want to quickly go on about is I'm just going to start off. A lot of people want to know about my journey of being diagnosed. So I get messages all the time about kind of how I went about going private. So I'm just going to you can ask questions in that, but I'm just going to quickly go through that because I know a lot of people are interested in my journey of how I become kind of diagnosed. So I'm just going to quickly just jump into that because I don't want to bore you guys. So when I was 18, I was still at college. I was doing public services, like uniformed. I wanted to go in the police, and I was adamant that was going to be my lifestyle. I was going to go into the military police, and my life would have been made if I had have got in. But when I was around 18, I got kicked out of college, and for me that was the last straw. My behaviour I always felt that I was different, but it was in a way that I thought I was a lot younger. I felt a lot younger than the people that were in my class, even though they were a year or so younger than me. I felt way younger than them. My behaviour kind of didn't kind of match my age, and I started to see that. So I spoke to my mum after getting kicked out of college. I kind of just went and spoke to my mum. I was like, Mum, there's something wrong with me. And, obviously my mum was like, no, there's nothing wrong. But then I started to speak to her about, I've been Googling, I've been looking at this, I've been searching, some of the things I personally found hard. And every time I was doing that, ADHD was coming up. Like, it was like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That just kept coming up in all the Google searches. And in my mind, I was like, that must be it then. Like, I must have ADHD. And obviously, I went and spoke to my mum, and she was just like, I'm so glad that you have, come and talk to me about this, because actually me and your dad have kind of always felt that there was something quite off, but because I've always wanted to go into the police, they, I was at school 8 years ago, I left, so going back 8 years, it was a whole different, attitude towards ADHD, especially in the forces and college and stuff like that. And my parents didn't want to ruin my chances of going into the police, and they never wanted me to hate them for that. So they didn't seek any kind of professional diagnosis, but they kind of knew deep down there was something quite different. Even compared to myself and my younger sister, there was something always off with me. Now my mum and dad will speak openly about it, and they'll talk, and they all, and I get coming, I'm trying to understand from their point of view. Yes, they didn't want to get me diagnosed because in the long run they didn't want to ruin my chances of being a police officer and getting into my junior career, which is totally understandable. But yeah, once I spoke to my mum, we went and saw it. I had to go to the doctor, and to be honest, the doctor that I had, I could have never have asked for a better one. The local GP, she was like, I totally understand why you think it's ADHD, and I'm going to refer you. I was in there, and my mum was also there. My mum was crying because we were talking about how ADHD has nearly broken up their marriage, how my behaviour has caused massive arguments in the family, how every day is like, they say, my mum said, it felt like they were walking on eggshells every single day, because my behaviour was super unpredictable. They didn't know if they said something one day that could have triggered me and things could have blown. So so my mum came to the doctors with me, and she was like, yeah, definitely we need to get you put in for an adult ADHD assessment. And at the beginning I was like, oh, this shouldn't take too long. 18 months down the line, I still hadn't heard anything, and my dad, in between when I went to the doctor, I was 18, and by the time I got diagnosed, I was 21. So there was 3 years gap, and that 3 years has a significant amount of stress, heartbreak, pain, absolute anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. That 3 years, that kind of 2.5, 3 years between getting diagnosed and going to the doctor, that was the most hardest time of my life. It was I needed something, and I was in the position, I was struggling through work, I was pushing myself, I was in constant burnout, I was depressed all of the time, I was just not in a good place. And personally, I can say it now, and this is me, I'm not talking about everyone with ADHD is like this, but I was a horrible person. I wasn't a very nice person to be around, driving recklessly, just the way that I was in general, it was a red flag. I needed something to help me. So yeah, throughout that kind of 3 years, it was no, there needs some help. So like I said, I was in a position where I had the money to go private, and I took it upon myself to go private. Because we rung up and they were like, no, you're still nowhere near, the top of the waiting list. You've still got maybe another 6 months to go. And that 6 months felt like someone had told me I've got 10 years in prison. It felt like, no, I can't wait that long. I need to see somebody. So I took it upon myself to go private. And that was the absolute best decision I've ever made. I feel like I'd done myself a huge kind of favour in that aspect, because the doctor that I saw, oh my god, I didn't know at the time. I just thought she was a great doctor, but I was told by a GP, she's the best in England, the best doctor ranked in England. She's got all of her own kind of ADHD clinics across the whole of the UK, and I didn't know that, but I'm so glad and thankful that I took that step, because I now thankfully have a really great doctor on my side. So you have to have a referral in England, and there are some clinics that you don't need a referral, but the majority need a referral from a GP, and you are usually kind of asked to wait 6 months on the NHS waiting list. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why, but they do like you to have had a referral from your GP, and kind of had the psychiatric kind of testing, kind of that side of it done, which I did at my like the GP had done that. She had done all this like self scale thing. She had done all that, and she said like you've got like an A star, or like you got all of the points, like yeah. So yeah, from that day forward, I still remember the date. It's the 5th of September 2019. That changed my entire life, honestly. When I was diagnosed, it was like the lady was so lovely. She had to speak to me, and then I had to go wait in the waiting room, and she spoke to both my parents, and they were speaking about school, how ADHD or how my behaviour has affected their life. And only after I was diagnosed, my mum told me, like, she went into the doctor, my parents went in after I did, and the doctor said there's absolutely no doubt your daughter has like the severe type of ADHD, and they don't know how I've got as far as I have without any help, without anyone picking up on the signs, and I don't know how. I can look back now and the red flags are there. Like, I can see ADHD throughout my whole life. I was even kind of laying in bed the other day just thinking, I can see ADHD in my younger self, even in the videos, home videos we've got. Like, I'm always jumping, or I'm always having like a meltdown, a tantrum. Like, there's always something going on with me, and it's just crazy. But yeah, when I was diagnosed that day, the lady asked me, like, do you want to go on medication? Do you want to trial it? And previously, just before we arrived to the clinic, I said to my mum, I'm not going on medication. I'm anti-medication. I don't want to go on it. So please don't like let the doctor talk me into it. I don't want to go into it. And so this lady was like, you know, she was talking like about medication, and I was like, I just knew like it was going to come, like, right, are you going to try it? And my whole, like, I knew that I didn't want to do it. I was like, no. I was completely against it. And then she said, right, the way you are and your life in general, how you have been telling me about kind of like your depression and everything else, what has been going on, she kind of sat me down and was like, it's not going to get better unless we trying to treat it. Like, she was like, there's no cure. There's absolutely no, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. She said if it's come through from childhood, which obviously it had, she said, you obviously need something. I've had therapy, I've had counselling, and none of that worked. So like she said, the next best thing is medication. And so she done all my, like, my heart kind of thing there. Is it ECG and stuff like that? She tested all of that. My blood pressure, and she was like, you're fit enough. Like, because what I was worried about personally, I have really, really, really bad health anxiety. So for me, it was like, no, I don't want to get addicted. I don't want this to give me a heart attack. I don't want this to cause any damage to my body, because I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke. And I was like, I don't want to get addicted to drugs. I don't want it to cause me any harm, because I'm very kind of conscious about my health, and I was just dead against it. And then obviously she spoke to me, and I decided to try it. She spoke about the pros and the cons, and we looked at kind of like how definitely in my kind of, my personal circumstances, there were way more pros than there were going to be cons. Obviously she couldn't say, this isn't going to happen to you, you're not going to be ill with it, blah, 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 blah. She said nothing, she can't promise any of that, but it's very unlikely. And we spoke about it, and actually I'm so glad I decided to try medication. I remember the first day that I took it, the very first day that I took it, okay, I again, was very anxious. I was like, no, I really don't know if I want to do this, but I took it. And my mum was like, right, we're not going to sit indoors, and you're not going to be sat down worrying and, you know, festering and letting your overthinking. We're not going to do that. So we're going to go out. So we went out for a coffee. And at this point, I wasn't drinking coffee. I just went out for a milkshake without my mum. And I sat there and I literally said to my mum, everything just feels warm. Like, I feel warm. And my mum was looking at me like, I don't know what you're going on about. Are you having a breakdown? Like, what's going on? But I was like, no, I feel warm inside. Like, everything just felt warm and like quiet and like content. And I didn't feel like I wanted to like, or get out, like I want to go, like I want to go home. I didn't feel like that. I felt normal almost. I felt like I was warm. I don't know how else to explain. This is literally how I felt. I felt warm, and that's all I can say. I'm going to tell you the honest truth. And I just felt warm in that precise moment in time. I could feel a difference. And I almost felt like I wanted to hug my mum. I wanted to be affectionate. I wanted to cuddle my dad. I wanted to give my sister a cuddle. Like, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel like I had this urge to shout and scream and be angry. I felt warm. I felt like I just wanted to cuddle and go speak to everybody. I felt like this whole mask has just been taken off me. Like, I just felt warm, and I was just like, wow. And my mum was like looking at me like, wow. Like, I don't know how, but it just felt different. My life felt different within a day. And I know that, like, you've got to remember, this is my experience. This is not anybody else's experience. So it might not happen like that for you. But I started on 20 milligrams of Elvance. So I don't know whether that was just my body's way of showing me a difference, or that was just how everybody feels. I'm not sure. But I felt totally just content and warm. And every day since, I've felt like that. I felt like when I take it in the morning, I just feel like a switch. Like I've like within 15, 20 minutes, I feel like it's just switched, and I'm not the ADHD Molly. I'm just Molly. Like, I'm normal. Like, I don't have ADHD. I'm just this normal person, and like, it's so different. And you know, and I want to say that this isn't like, oh, I'm pro medication. Like, that's the only way to help. Because the thing is, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm really not. I'm just a person who's got ADHD, and you know, I just want to say, like, it's, for me personally, if you are worried about medication as someone who has, you know, mental health, or, you know, an anxiety around your health, if you are that person, right, you need to know that I was exactly the same. I was in your shoes, and it might sound cliche, but you will never know. Like, you will never know how it feels unless you try it. And you're like, give it a week and you won't be addicted. Like, trust me, you won't. To be honest, I've read a lot about Elvance being one of the medication that people say is addicting. So, I mean, if you want to do your own research, which I totally would suggest and ask you, I mean, appreciate it if you did, do it. Because honestly, if you wanna get somewhere and therapy hasn't helped, like counselling hasn't helped, cognitive therapy hasn't helped, medication, you know, is an option, but not for everybody. And I know it's very expensive in some countries. Thankfully, the NHS, you know, very, very thankful for that. But I did have to pay for a private prescription for a few months after receiving my diagnosis, and let me tell you, it's not a pretty number. It's pretty expensive. So if you go private, again, that's something that you've got to think about. You've got to think about, can you afford the medication prescription after? Because not all doctors and GPs, so the NHS don't have to do like the sharing kind of treatment plan. They don't have to, and again, private doctors, they probably will tell you that at the beginning. like I was told. So I'm very, very, I'm extremely lucky that my GP put me on a shared treatment plan with the NHS. So instead of paying, I think it was like £85 for a prescription of Elvance, it was dropped down to like the minimum standard, like I think it's £9 or £10 a prescription in the UK. So it takes off like near enough £70 for a prescription. So you have to know, like, that is a con basically that you get with going private. You're not guaranteed that the NHS are going to give you the shared treatment plan. So you have to kind of be open to potentially like carry on going private for the rest of your medication or your therapy or, you know, any ongoing treatment plan. You have to kind of know that the NHS don't have to, because you went elsewhere and you went private. Sometimes they can get a bit funny, because my doctors did. But that's another story. So yeah, you have to kind of know that just because you go private, it doesn't necessarily mean the doctors are going to treat you faster, because it doesn't always recommend that. So it doesn't, like, they don't always have to do that. So I just saw a quick question. I just wanted to answer 2 seconds. I think someone's asking you what this medication is. Yeah, that's me on perks. What's the medical? So the medication is this. So it's Elvance. So it's actually got another name, but like in America they call it something different. It begins with V in America. But it's called lisdexamfetamine. If you just put Elvance into Google, if you're interested in kind of researching it, that's it, yeah. Or just, I will put a link up to an NHS site that will probably I'll put it up in my story after, and then you can kind of do what you want with the information. So yeah, if you have any more questions, just keep asking them and I will eventually get around to answering them. That's it. VYVANS. That's it. You know. Have you tried? No, honestly, thankfully, the first medication that I tried is the one I'm still on. Elvance just worked for me. Yeah. Molly, is it natural? I mean, no. Elvance is I don't really, like, this is the thing, I'm not entirely sure, I'm definitely not a doctor, but Elvance is it's a stimulant, so you have to have your heart checked, you have to have an ECG, you have to have your blood pressure checked, because it can make it can make you have a faster heartbeat. So it is, it's a stimulant. So it is classed as a controlled drug. So no, it's definitely not natural. But like I say, yeah, please, like, I'm not just covering myself. I'm doing this so that you guys are safe. And when I say please don't buy anything off of these Instagram posts that tell you I can do half price medication, no, please don't ever, please don't buy anything offline. My younger sister had a friend that did something very similar to that, and he sadly passed away. And I know, sometimes medication, yes, it seems expensive, but your life is worth so much more. So don't try anything that isn't licensed by your doctor, your GP, your doctor, because it's like not worth it. Honestly, please just be so careful when it comes to medication. How much was the private ADHD assessment? So again, I am from down south, so I'm in Hampshire in England, and I actually know that my price is not the same as somewhere in London, because I looked at the difference. So I paid just over £1,250, I think, £1,250 for an assessment, but like I say, that didn't cover the cost of medication. So I paid roughly maybe just over like £2,000 to go private. So it's very, like, it is expensive to go private, but if you are like me and you have been you have been on the waiting list, on the NHS waiting list for a long time. I personally have found that private doctor, if you can afford it and if you can, is the best route. Like I would, honestly, I would never ever change how I went about things, because it helped me, it saved my life in many ways. So if you can afford to go private, then yes, please do it, because it's so much faster as well. Like, I put in a referral to go private. My doctor then, of my GP, like, transferred me to a private clinic. I was seen within 2 weeks, and I was diagnosed, medicated, and it was like, wow, within 2 weeks. And I was waiting previously 18 months. So it's crazy. It's crazy. But someone just said, what did you... So I actually want to speak about this. What did you do to prepare for your assessment? So I have done a few... I don't have the book in here with me, but I will. I'll maybe do another live soon about it. But I actually got a notebook, and I wrote everything in this notebook, everything that I was struggling with, how I felt, kind of just like a diary of everything that I was struggling with, everything that I had previously struggled with. Why did I go to the doctor? What made me want to go to the doctor? I wrote it all down in a notebook. I hyper-focused, let me just say. A whole notebook was used, and I just went with it, just let like all my feelings out on this notebook, and I took it with me to my assessment, and the doctor said, wow, okay, give me 10 minutes, and she read through the book, and she was like, okay, I can see a lot of your traits, and she just basically, the doctor asked me, just because it's written down, I could have Googled it, I could have got the kind of traits offline, so she was just asking me questions about parts of what I had written down, just so that I could give her kind of like lived experience, like how did it feel when this happened, why does this happen regularly, like relationship with my dad, with my younger sister. So we just, she went through the book, and it actually really helped me, because I felt like I would have forgot everything, and I feel like if I didn't write it all down, when she would have asked me a question, I would have been like, because I would have just been overthinking it, and my mind would have just gone blank. So if you're going towards an assessment, definitely get a notebook, 100%. Hyper-focus, get a notebook and write everything you just feel every day, what you struggle with, why you believe you have ADHD. Write it down in a notebook. Honestly, it honestly helped me so much. What medication are you using? It's this one. Oh. This is, I have a ring light, so it's going to be really hard for you guys to see. It's called Elvance. It's ELVANSE. Elvance. It's 70 milligrams, but you can go from 20 up to 70. It's capped at 70 in the UK. I don't know why. You can get, I can't remember what they're called, but you can get tablets prescribed alongside your prescription that can top it up throughout the day, but I don't need that. Well, actually, I probably could do with it, but I don't want it. It lasts kind of... so I tend to get up around... I'm gonna like be honest. I get up around 10, maybe 10ish, half 9ish, and I take it maybe at 11, maybe earlier, depending on kind of what I'm doing. And it kind of lasts me now. I've got a gist of it. It lasts me till about 3, half 3, 4. If I take it around half 9, 10 o'clock. So I do have like a full day of it, and it really does help. But I used to have this thing called like an Elvance crash. I don't know if anyone knows much about it, but it's basically when the meds start to wear off. As they wear off, you can kind of... your ADHD traits start to bubble back, and you kind of it just comes rushing back. And that was an issue for me. That was a real hard issue within the first couple of months of taking it. I had to get really used to that, but now it's an everyday occurrence for me, so it doesn't affect me as much. But at the beginning, I did have that crash at the end of the day. And as I've spoken about it quite a lot, but I lost a drastic amount of weight. So I lost 5 stone, just maybe even more than that. Like within, I think it was like 8 weeks, my doctor, we worked out, like I lost 5 stone within just about 2 months, because the medication, like it just really curbed my appetite, and I wasn't hungry, I wasn't eating, I wasn't drinking, and I started to feel really funny, like head rushes and stuff like that. But the higher the dose that I went on, the less it affected my eating. So now I'm at a healthy balance. I'm still a little bit like on food, and I have to have dinner quite late now, because if I take my meds, it's like I still don't have a strong appetite. Yeah. So yeah, it's just I think people need to realise that my experience is not going to be the same as yours. So you can only take certain things from my experience. Hang on, let me just say, I just saw a question. Do you find taking it at 11 too late? No, it doesn't. Like, honestly, it doesn't affect my sleep. It doesn't affect me at all. I have had days where I've actually taken it about 1 because I was going out, and I wanted it to last later into the evening, because I was going out and I was like, I need this to last longer, like later. So I decided to take it maybe at 1 or 2, and that is too late for me. 1 or 2 o'clock is so late in the afternoon to take it. For me, I couldn't sleep, and I had like an all-nighter and I couldn't sleep, and I was just wired. So yeah, there is obviously, like I keep saying, everyone's different. My weight is going to be different to yours. My body is going to be completely different to yours. How my body, digests it, it's going to be different. So we got to remember that just because mine does something, it's definitely not going to be the same as anybody else's. I'm a therapist specialising in it, and I have ADHD. So much positive aspects to live with ADHD are all valuable. You know what? I totally agree with you, but I don't ever see, personally, I don't see the positives in ADHD at all. And I actually find like talking about all ADHD positivity quite toxic. I don't like that. I don't like talking about all the positives of ADHD, because it really has never been a positive for me, still isn't. So yeah, I'm not going to get into that. But what I want to say is, I want to just tell you guys the perks that I've found from medication. So for me, 1, I've been able to build stronger relationships with my sibling and my dad. Those 2 were very problematic for me. I couldn't form relationships because I was very angry all the time, and I only wanted my mum. I didn't want my dad. I didn't want a relationship with my sister. I was very jealous of my sister because I felt like she could get on with life and I couldn't. So I had a very kind of sibling jealousy for my younger sister. So that kind of created a very kind of negative barrier between myself and my sister. But since I started to take the medication, my younger sister and myself are very close. We've bonded a lot more. My dad and myself, we've bonded a lot more. Obviously I've always been close to my dad. I've always loved my dad. My parents are still together, so I see my dad every day. But our relationship wasn't great. It was just very bursty, basically. Everything was just like an argument, because I didn't understand him, and I didn't like the way he spoke to me, because I couldn't understand his tone of voice. I found it really difficult. So yeah, I just found that really difficult. But I've been able to, over the past 2 years, build a stronger relationship with my parent and my younger sister. That's one of the biggest perks for me. Secondly, I am able to really, really focus, and it doesn't I don't mean focus as in concentrate focus, because I feel like there's a difference. But when I went back to college after I was diagnosed. I waited a couple of months, then I went back to college because I still didn't have my math GCSE, and I really wanted that because at that time I wanted to go in the police and I needed it, blah 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 blah. Well, guess what? Every time that I was previously sitting maths GCSEs, I couldn't do it. I kept getting D's and E's, could never ever pass it. I couldn't remember the formulas, and I couldn't revise. My mind was just, I couldn't revise. I couldn't sit down and digest things. I could read it, but I couldn't digest it. It wouldn't go in. But I went back to college, like I said, and I got a grade, is it a 4 or 5? The high C basically. This new the new system, I think it was a 5 or a 4. Anyway, the highest C basically I got, and I've never been able to do that. I got really into revising, and I loved being able to learn. I found a fondness for learning and education, and I just loved learning, and I found so many like amazing things out about myself on the journey to passing math. Like I built more confidence basically. I've learned actually I can do things, and I've learned that one day I hope to go to university. Like one day I really, really do. It's never been something that I really want to do, but there's a career that I want to do, and I have to go to university for it. But now I feel like I can, because I know that the medication that I'm on helps me so much. It gives me that kind of baseline that I know. It gives me kind of that push that I need to help me. And there's another thing that, again, like my my psychiatric kind of ADHD doctor, whatever she is, she said to me, pills don't give you skills, you have to learn those skills. And that is the most truest statement quote that I've ever learned. Like, honestly, I've never heard anything more relatable than what she said. The pills that I'm on don't ever give me, I'm talking because I see things on here and I'm saying what that says, but that's why I look away, because if I see it, I'm literally saying what that says. So yeah, can you see, like, this is just ADHD, isn't it? Like, I'm talking and I go off track, and then like I can't remember what I was saying, but basically, yeah, I've lost myself. I don't know what I was saying. But yeah, it's just basically I've just found a fondness for learning, and when she told me about medication isn't you have to learn the skills, that really helped me, because it was like, actually, yeah, they're not magic. They don't fix me. They don't at all, and they won't ever fix anybody. They're not a cure, but they definitely do allow me to start learning. Like they've like literally enabled me to find my passions, find my calling in life. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do this if I wasn't diagnosed and if I didn't take medication. Let me just say, when I took a medication holiday, which is something that my doctor suggests I do often, which I don't, but I should do, but anyway, I couldn't concentrate. I made no content for Instagram that whole week because I wasn't like, I just lost all of this thing. I lost my passion. I didn't have the focus. I was procrastinating. But when I took the medication again, I was able to find my creativity, and yeah, it was just amazing. They just helped me, and I know there's so many people that, they message me and say you shouldn't promote ADHD medication, you should be promoting natural. The thing is, I can do what I want, and that's the problem. This is my account, and I'm talking about my experience. All of my content is my experience. Sorry, I thought that, yeah. All of my account is, or was it done? Sorry, I don't know what happened there, but all of my account is based on my own personal experiences. So when people tell me, oh, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't do that, I just want to say, like, if I don't want to talk about the positives, I don't have to. That in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, my account. I'm free to say what I want, and so are you guys. So, but this is my account, and I do not promote toxic positivity. I do not believe that there are positives of ADHD. Because I haven't experienced them. I haven't. The only way that I experience these positivities are because I'm on medication, and I'm actually seeing my own personality come through. Like, who I am is because of my ADHD. But when I take my ADHD medication, it helps the real Molly come through. And I know people say, like, I just read something a minute ago that was like, ADHD doesn't define us. No, it doesn't, but it does define me, and that's my choice to say that. and it does define it has defined me a lot. Like, my dream career is no longer in my reach because I have ADHD. I can't cope. I get overwhelmed very, very easily. You're not actually allowed in the military if you're on ADHD medication because it's a long-term thing. And, you know, it has defined me, and I'm not saying it as a bad thing either. It's not a bad thing. If you wish to not say, you know, that it doesn't define you, or if you say your ADHD is a positive thing, you know what, you do you. And that's what I like to experience. Like, my experience is different and it won't ever be the same as yours. You might like to think about the positives in ADHD, but I personally don't see people queuing up to want to have ADHD. If they'd done it for a day, they would want to give it back. There's no one that really, really wants ADHD, let me just say. And if they do, they don't have it. Like, if they say, oh, ADHD is like, oh, like, no. If you've lived with it and you've been through the bad, you probably wouldn't want it. Like, you know, I know it sounds really, like, patronising and I'm saying it, but it's not easy to live with ADHD, and that's my whole content is based around that. I'm raising the awareness of the complexities. I'm not here to tell people that it's positive, because the thing is, if you went to a doctor, right, and said, oh, I'm creative, or I'm generous, or all these things that people say comes from ADHD, like positives, the doctor is literally not going to take you seriously. The first thing that comes to mind when you say, oh, you're creative, or you're this, you're that, is not ADHD. Like, ADHD is not... If you go to a doctor and you say all this positive stuff, like, they're not going to take you seriously. Like, they're not. And again, that's my opinion. You're entitled to yours, I'm entitled to mine. But on my account, I don't want to talk about the positives because there isn't any, in my opinion. So I just... I understand where people come from, and they don't want their children to feel like they haven't got a future, and I totally understand. Like, if that's the way that you want your child to grow up, you know, I totally understand it, and I have created content that says the positive sides that people say that they are, but in my opinion there isn't any, and I've lived a really, really hard, tough life of ADHD. It took me 21 years to get to get my diagnosis. I was kicked out of school. People thought I was a bully. People took me wrong. All my, you know, it's so, like, my life has never been easy. And I'm not saying this to get, like, sympathy, because far from it. Like, I don't want sympathy, because actually it's made me who I am. I'm strong, I'm resilient, and I'm determined. And I feel like that is just down to me having to fight for who I am as a person. That's not because I have ADHD. Like, my ADHD does not make me resilient. What makes me resilient is other people pushing me down, and my mum and my dad and my sister and my family. They're the ones that have made me resilient, because every time that I wanted to give up, my family pulled me up and was like, no, you know, they've taught me to be strong. It's not my ADHD, like, at all. That has not made me strong. No, it's my family, it's my lived experience that has made me strong. And I'm creative because that's my personality trait. It's not ADHD that makes me creative, and I don't like it when people say that it does, because it doesn't. Anyway, I'm not on here to talk about that. I'm on here to talk about the medication, and there's so many amazing people in here. Yeah, I'm just literally trying to read the messages. You're real and right, you're not alone. Honestly, I'm so thankful for each and every one of you that, you know, message me. And like I'm saying, it's not, this isn't, like, if you believe in the positive side, then I still am on your corner. You're entitled to your opinion, and like I say, I'm entitled to mine, so just leave it at that. Basically, I keep saying this is my medication. I will link it in one of my stories. It's Elvance. Elvance is the medication that I'm on. Obviously, there are so many different options of ADHD medication. This is a stimulant. Some people can't have stimulants, so there are non-stimulant medications available, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't want people to go looking for them. If you have to speak to a doctor, and I don't, there's some people on here that promote, like, is it magic mushrooms or something, or like marijuana? I am anti-drugs, okay? That's who I am. I don't like drugs. I've seen people in my family being negatively affected by alcohol and drugs, so I don't ever condone drugs or alcohol. But like I say, that's your opinion, so please don't tell people to do it or you should try it, because it's really dangerous, and you don't know people's health conditions, so please be careful. Don't ever buy anything offline. Only take stuff that are licensed by a doctor and given to you by a pharmacist. Please, honestly. I was over 50 when I was diagnosed. I was never good at school, but have very creative. Yeah, and that's the thing. Everyone, just because you have ADHD isn't going to make you creative. Just because you have dyslexia doesn't mean you can't spell or you can't read. Everyone is going to have different experiences of ADHD and autism, Asperger, any of them. Everyone's going to have their own unique experience, and I think that's really important, because what I say isn't going to be the same as your journey, and how your opinion isn't going to be the same as mine. So this is like the best way to do it is live, because everyone can have their own opinion. I saw a message a minute ago, a comment. Do you take it each day and every day, other than the... Yeah, so for me, I take medication every single day. Every day. I tried to take a medication break and it did not go very well. I was meant to take a 2-week break, did not last. I lasted 2 days and I was like, nope, didn't work for me. I spoke to my doctor. And she was like, if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. But it can make you, it can make your body resistant to it. So they do recommend, but you have to go to a doctor, because some medications you can't just stop when and if you want to. You have to kind of wean yourself off them. So again, doctor, I'm not a doctor. When you say offline, do you mean online? Offline. Don't buy them offline. I think, offline. Don't buy them, offline. I don't know. Just don't buy them offline. It took me, I have beautiful eyes. Thank you. They're very blue. I think it's just the light. Thank you. It took me 4 years to have the good medication. Yeah, so another person has had great experience with Adhd. Yeah, changed my life. Change your life, change my life, honestly. I also know a few other ADHD accounts. Maybe I might do a joint live with some of them, because there are some others that have Adhd, but also I know another account that takes Ritalin or something. I don't know if that's very much prescribed in the UK, because I don't know. But maybe I can do a joint live with some of the other ADHD accounts, and we can all speak about different types of treatment, because obviously and I know some that are anti-meds, not anti, but don't want medication. So maybe having a joint live would be good. What to do with my therapist and my mum? Don't believe that I have been. Hang on. What to do when my therapist and my mum don't believe me when I say I think? You can always seek, for a therapist, you can always seek a second opinion. I know a lot of parents, but it wasn't, thankfully my parents weren't like that, didn't not think about me not having ADHD, does that make sense? Basically, my granddad was very he didn't believe in ADHD. When we spoke to him about it, he was like, no, not a thing. That's, you're a girl, just go out and go to work and come home and have your life. I wish my life was that easy, but I am unable to work. This is the problem that a lot of people don't understand. And when I try to tell people I don't work, I feel embarrassed, because I'm I don't want people thinking I rely on benefits and stuff like that, because I try my hardest. I've worked ever since I left school, in all different retail jobs. I couldn't cope. I went off sick more times than I could work, because I couldn't cope. Some days I was okay to go to work and I enjoyed the buzz, but other days I can't. And it's I can't commit to anything, because I might not be okay next Wednesday to come into work and do an extra hour. I can't cope with things like that. But yeah, there's a lot of medication types, so it's really important to speak to your doctor. Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't know how many more times I can tell people, but you have to be so careful with medication. It can be really dangerous if you don't seek professional help. You just have to be so careful. I'm going through diagnosis at the moment. I'm almost tired. I'm literally always tired. A lot of people with ADHD suffer from burnout and exhaustion, and I actually believe ADHD exhaustion is so much worse than any other type of exhaustion. Your mind is just constantly on the go. The medication doesn't help with that, and I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't. But thankfully I don't have poor sleep like I used to. But I'm not comfortable at the moment opening up about my sleep because there's some personal stuff that goes with my sleep, and at the moment I don't feel comfortable talking about it on the internet. Maybe one day. I have on a YouTube video a few times, but right now I don't want other people's opinions on my sleep situation because I don't need that. I don't need to think that my life's not normal or have anyone's negativity, because it works for me. But yeah, how do you feel the day you... how did you feel the day you got up the dose? Oh, so when I upped the dose. From 50 to 70, I couldn't really feel a difference for a good few weeks. But from 20 to 30 and 30 to 40 and 40 to 50, that was crazy. When I upped them, I could definitely tell there was more the stronger the calmness I felt. I felt, like I say, I felt really warm, and it just continued to do that for me. And obviously I don't feel like that every single day. Everybody's entitled to have their bad days, regardless of ADHD or not. You're gonna have bad days. So yeah, it's just really difficult when it comes to medication. I have trouble even getting to do the laundry. Don't even go there. Oh my god, there's so many things I need to do. This is where I'm sat, is my YouTube studio, okay, and you can only see the back, but in front of me I have piles and piles of clothes that I have all my Christmas stuff that I still haven't put away. I have makeup everywhere. I can't do things either. So yeah, I keep pausing. It's just I'm just really trying to I want to take in so I can answer questions. If I didn't have my meds, that's it. If I didn't have meds, I wouldn't, honestly. It's just crazy. Yeah. So what's the time? Oh, that light is so bright. Okay, so it's 54. So I want to go watch The Masked Singer in a minute. So yeah, I'm gonna go in a minute. So it's 54. So I've got a few minutes. I have difficulty. Yeah, honestly, I've spoken about this because it was something that I wasn't comfortable talking about because I was really, really struggled with it. But brushing my teeth every day, having a shower, washing my hair, things like that are so difficult for me. Well, actually, not gonna lie, washing my hair is not difficult because I have this kind of weird thing about my hair. I have quite I've always felt it was something, but I always touch my hair, as you could probably tell. I don't know if it's a coping mechanism, but touching my hair and having my hair set in a specific way is just my way of coping. So washing my hair is not difficult, but following basic hygiene, brushing my teeth, having showers, and having it's just extra effort that in my mind is just I can't be bothered. I do struggle with it, and I always forget as well. What's the medication that can be added in the afternoon? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know the names, and I don't want to give out names because I really don't know. You can, if you speak to a doctor, they will tell you, but it just ups your meds. So it basically gives you an extra boost. I don't know what they're called. I've never tried them. I've never had them, so I have no opinion or advice on that. But if you spoke to a doctor, they would probably be able to talk to you about it because, yeah, I can't. So thank you for speaking out loud for people who can't. Honestly, it's honestly so humbling for me to do it because like I don't know if I've spoken about it a lot, but my little motto that I have in life is I want to make the younger Molly proud, because I never had any friends. I was always on my own. I always felt alone and misunderstood. So what I like, my dream is to work with kids with ADHD, because I want to be able to make them not feel so alone. I want to start a business so that I can make these kids that are at school, I want to make the diagnosis system so much more kind of accessible for people. I don't want them to have to rake out loads of money. You know, I want to make these kids that were like me feel seen and not so alone, because like I can't tell you how alone I was. I still am, but I have you guys, and I always have my mum and my dad. I have my sister, and without them, I couldn't imagine how alone I would be. So I know that some people aren't as lucky as I am to have, you know, a good set of parents and a sibling. Some people don't have that, and I want to be that for somebody. I want to be that someone's friend, that someone's, you know, kind of comfort. If they need me to chat to them, like, I want them to know that I'm there. I might not reply all the time, but the thing is, like I said last night, I have ADHD too, so people have to understand that there are boundaries. Obviously, I can't reply to every single message, and personal messages about like suicide, I don't get involved with that, and it's not because I don't care. It's just I can't have that on me. I can't do that because my overthinking, my anxiety, it's not fair on me. So I can't do that. But I always ask you where you live, what country you're in, and I send you helplines, numbers that could potentially help you. Yeah. Thank you for that, Melinda, for answering that, because I really don't have an idea. I just know that you can get medication that can boost it throughout the day. If I ever go on it, if I ever need it, or, you know, I will give you guys an update. But yeah, I just want to say, you know, the journey to getting diagnosed and the road to learning who you are is very difficult. Once you get diagnosed, it doesn't disappear. Your traits don't just go, you know. But having the answer there with you, knowing that you're not strange, you're not a freak, you're not weird, there's not something wrong with you. Just knowing that gives you a little bit more faith and hope that one day maybe you will accept who you are. And, you know, if you're offered help, like I say, it doesn't have to be medication. If you're offered therapy, counselling, you know, any type of help, just know that journey is going to take you to good places. Like, all of this can only help. And the answer isn't a label, it's an explanation. So yeah, I just want to say that, you know, I'm just going to leave it here with you, that pills don't give you skills. You have to learn them. They don't cure or fix ADHD, because it's nothing that needs to be fixed. You just need help to kind of maintain a healthy kind of balance throughout the day. Sorry, I think my thing is playing up. I'm not sure if it's coming through. Oh dear. Thank you, guys, so much for watching. Sorry, my live on Instagram just crashed. So I just want to say thank you so much, and I will answer your questions on YouTube on the comments. Sorry I couldn't answer or really talk to you guys. I just wanted to be live on YouTube so that I can give you guys, you know, some, not attention. I want to give you guys some of the kind of things that I do on Instagram. I do lives quite often on Instagram, so if you want to come over to Instagram, I do a lot more lives over there. I just see if there's any questions on here that I can answer for you now. Let me just have a look, 2 seconds. Wow, there's loads. Yeah. There's so many questions. I'm so sorry I haven't been able to answer them. That's quite a good question. What's more important to me, being creative or to spend time in nature? I love going out for walks, but also I love my creative side. So yeah. I just want to, I'm so sorry I haven't been able to answer all of you. Your view on, I have never taken that medication, I'm afraid. I've only ever taken Elvans. So I have no view or opinion on that, but if it helps you, then that's great. I can find cannabis helps. Okay. Yeah, okay. There's so many. I'm so sorry I haven't been able to answer them. There's just so many. I'm going to be posting my Instagram video on here, and obviously I answered a lot of questions on there. But maybe I'll do a single video on YouTube so that I can help more of you guys. But I definitely would suggest, if you do, follow me over on Instagram, because I go live a lot more and I do a lot of like questions and answers over on there. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate every single one of you. I should be uploading a YouTube video tomorrow. So yeah, thank you, and have a good day, night, afternoon, evening, morning, or whatever part of the amazing world you're in. I'll see you next time. So bye.